Okay, hello, hello, hello. Let me know when you're jumping in. If you're watching this on the replay, do hashtag replay. Okay, and I'm just going to check in the Facebook group to make sure that we are good and doing our thing and live. I'm so excited to be with you today. These episodes have been so fun to create. So if you have ideas or if you would love a mini training on something in particular, let me know. Comment below this and let me know episode ideas because I love sharing this with you. It's so fun to come together once a week for 30 minutes to have a micro training on an area of your life to get what it is that you want. So let's get started. I'm going to check the Facebook group, make sure we are good. I do see that the sound is working, so I feel like it is working. Let's see. So as you jump in, and let me know where you're watching in from. I love knowing where everyone is in the world. I'm in Los Angeles and the weather is finally getting better. Episode 3. Okay. So let's do this. So today is all about, let me go ahead and turn off this screen. Okay. Today is all about how to cheat proof your relationship. And the reason why I started with this, the reason why this idea came to me is because my husband and I watch a show, Vanderpump Rules. It's a reality show. Judge me all you want. I love it. And in the show, there's these couples and they've been filming together for a long time. And news just broke out that Raquel, who is one of the bartenders on the show, has been hooking up with Tom, who is in a committed relationship of 8 years, and she's friends with the girlfriend. And it's a whole big thing that's out. And so I wanted to name this training How to Raquel Proof Your Relationship. Her name's Raquel. And as I thought about this, I really started getting deep and saying, what Ariana said, the woman who was cheated on, the girlfriend, now ex-girlfriend, she said in one of her statements, she had no idea there's anything wrong. No idea. And that right there is like, that's when it's blindsided. That's when, have you been in a relationship, either on the receiving end or that was you, where you felt blindsided or the other person felt blindsided when the relationship didn't work out, when you left or if there's an affair had, and the person had no idea. It's devastating, right? You think everything's fine. At least when you know that it's rocky and there's like ups and downs, you're able to like kind of understand it more. But it seems like Ariana was completely blindsided by it. So it gave me the idea to have today's topic be how to cheat proof your relationship, this one thing to do. Now, I'm going to be the first person to tell you, total clickbait, because we all know that we do not have the control over someone else we don't have the control over anyone else to manage what they do. But what we can do is this, and I actually took notes because it's so good. The thing that is the most important thing is satisfaction. That's the one thing. If you can be in a relationship where you are satisfied and your partner is satisfied, that is the ultimate one thing that you can do to cheat proof your relationship. Because here's what happens. Imagine this reality of you stuck somewhere, you're lost in the desert, right? And you're dying of hunger, your thirst is out of control, you haven't drinking anything for days, and you're like parched. And then somebody comes to you and gives you like this amazing glass of water with ice, and it's just incredible. Your willpower and your motivation to say no is so low because you're starved for it, right? So that's just kind of an example in relationships. If we're starved for attention, if we're starved for emotional support, if we're starved for the physical touch, if we're starved for that soul connection, those types of things. If we're starved for that, and there's somebody that comes in from the outside that wants to give that to a human, there's always going to be a compelling thing about that. Now, everyone's different. People have different integrity levels, right? But what I'm saying is that if we are intentionally, a lot of the times when we're in a relationship, when we get married, when we have that commitment of long term, sometimes we can get a little bit, sloppy with things and saying, okay, well, I got him, we're together, we're married, we have got kids. Okay, I've locked this down. And it's great to feel secure about our relationship and really understanding that our relationship is an investment. It's not when we say I do, or when we commit, or when we have this milestone. It's about choosing the relationship every single day, right? Intentionally choosing it. And when you have a satisfied relationship, you're intentionally choosing it. So when my husband goes out of town, or he has a boys' night, or he's with his single friends, or things happening, I don't have a second thought like I used to have when I was first married, when we were first dating, the first few years in, where I was 20 pounds lighter, was 15 years younger, and I had so many insecurities, right? So it's not about how we look. It's not about our body. It's about this confidence and this ability to be satisfied within ourselves and in our relationship. So in this place of satisfaction, somebody offering that to someone who already drinks water all the time is good with it. It's like, oh no, I'm good. The willpower is so much stronger because you're already filled up, you're already nourished. Okay. So how do you feel satisfied? I'm going to tell you 4 key things to create the satisfaction, right? Because that's just that high level thing. But when we create that, it's like amazing. My husband and I, Michael, we've been together. This is my second marriage. We've been together, married for, it's coming on 12 years, and it's better than ever. I've known him since he was a kid, since college. And by doing this work and by having this level of satisfaction in our marriage, it continues to get better, both in and out of the bedroom, for real. So how do you feel satisfied? I wanted to break this down because I know a lot of the times we talk about these big concepts and it's like, okay, well, go feel satisfied, or go surrender, or hold the energy. And people are like, okay, great. How do I do that? I'm going to tell you how. Okay. So number 1, I want you guys to write down standards. Standards are so important. When we have standards in our relationship, standards within what we hold ourselves to, standards on what we hold our partners to, that is incredible, because then we have a baseline. And what if your baseline standard was to be satisfied in your relationship? That was the baseline. That was the minimum. And then it goes up to like euphoric and bliss and ecstasy, right? But the baseline was just not just, but to be satisfied. If you had that as a baseline in your relationship, what would change? You'd have this whole different level of awareness to be like, hold on, I'm not experiencing satisfaction. I'm not feeling satisfied. And if you intentionally reflect on, am I feeling satisfied? What is my rating of satisfaction right now in my relationship? And by having this one awareness can change everything, because then you'll start to become aware and be like, you know what, my satisfaction level right now is a 3. It's below where I want it to be. That's going to be a big awareness of, okay, what's going on? And then you can start problem solving to be able to create that satisfaction in your relationship, whether it's something that you do for yourself, whether it's a conversation you have, whether it's an ask, whether it's something that your partner does. You're going to be able to have those standards, right? And then knowing your partner standards. So the second part of this is the second part of the standards is getting into your deepest desires. What is that? What is your level of ecstasy? What is your level of euphoria? What is your level of pleasure and desire, in and out of the bedroom, right? And once we know that, clarity is so much power, we can start creating that within ourselves, with our partners, alone, in our bedroom, throughout our life. And the more we're able to experience this level of standard of satisfaction, our whole reality shifts. Right. And then when we get to that place of our deepest desires, that is our target of where we want to be. And then, we get really deep into this in Pleasure Queen, and then we can start rewiring our standards for that euphoria, with the satisfaction as a baseline. And then whenever we're lower in the satisfaction, we're experiencing frustration, then that's an indicator for us to, use tools like my clients use the EA method, the tools to get back into that level of satisfaction, and then continuing to play in that place of satisfaction, euphoria. Okay. Now, the second part is safety. Having a partner in a relationship where you feel safe to share your truth, where you feel safe to speak about your desires, where you feel safe to ask for what you want, right? And the safety was a big one for me. Like, all of these were big ones for me. They were like lessons of years and years and years that I got to learn. But having the safety to be able to be vulnerable and talk to your partner about your desires. And a lot of the times we're like, oh, well, I do feel safe with my partner. Like, I feel so safe with my husband. I would trust him with my life. But I didn't feel safety within myself to be able to share these things. Safety within myself to even dive on the path of my pleasure queen, right? I didn't feel safe enough to explore or expand, what I wanted, and to be able to self-pleasure and touch and experience and try different things because of the guilt and the shame and the conditioning I had as a child around what sex was and what I'm not supposed to do. Right? There's no education around it. There was a lot of cultures and traditions and beliefs around it that I was conditioned and grew up with that created a lot of pleasure blockers for me to be able to create the satisfaction I really wanted. Right? And in those places, then it becomes hard to have those conversations with your partner, right? Because if you don't feel safe, if you feel guilt and shame, you're like, oh my gosh, this isn't right. I shouldn't be thinking about my desires. I should just be happy, and if we don't have the confidence and the safety within ourselves from a healed place to share what it is that we want, then we can't create that satisfaction. If we're not able to talk about our desires, then it's going to be harder for them to open up. Right. But as I started doing this work, and as I started feeling comfortable and safe to explore myself and my desires and what turned me on and what I wanted, I was able to guide him and show him and have these conversations with him. Our lives exploded. The ecstasy, the passion, the connection is out of this world after 11 years of marriage. It's better than ever. And it's because of this. Right? It's not because, we look a certain way or anything like that. It's like, I'm at the heaviest I've ever been. And we're having the best connection in and outside the bedroom. Right? So it's the standards. The second one I said was safety. Right? And when we're able to be open and vulnerable and in our power, then it gives them the permission to open up as well and feel safe to be able to do that. When we're in that power, the feminine power, then they can trust us and share with us as well. And that's where we start creating that intimacy and that vulnerability as we ascend to that satisfaction. The third part is service. So what do you want to do for your partner? Right? Like, what does that service mean to you? So you know what he wants, you know what he likes, his desires. Okay, well, what do you want to do for them? And in what they said, all right, do you want to do those things? Does that feel good to you? Does that feel safe to you? How do you want to receive? What are the things that you want to do for yourself? Right? A lot of times my husband, he works from home 3 days a week, and he's got like 10 to 12 meetings a day. He's an executive in corporate America. He's got a crazy ass schedule. So for me, I'm like frolicking around. I take calls, I work out, I'm in the hot tub. I've got, working on marketing. I'm naked in bed. Like, I've just got all of these the things I do during the day. And sometimes he'll come in and we can mess around if he has the time. But the times where he doesn't, I've stopped making it about me. I stopped getting frustrated. I was able to feel safe enough to take care and tend to myself and be able to pleasure myself and give myself that love, that attention, that pleasure, that orgasm on my own without having to wait for him to do that. Right? So what are those services that you want to give? And for me, obviously we're going there. These are powerful conversations to have. With me, touching and self-pleasure was a big no-no. That was like frowned upon. That was not accepted. That was not something we did. So I had a lot of issues around that. And now it's one of the most beautiful things I can do for myself and with myself. It's okay for him to serve himself. My first marriage, I got really triggered when my partner would, watch porn and stuff, but we never had sex, but I didn't want him to like anything. I didn't want him to masturbate or anything. I didn't want any type of release, right, for him. And I wasn't willing. I didn't want to give it to him, right? So it was in that place of wounding, that place of my toxic patterns and my triggers. Now in this marriage, it's like, no, if you want to take care of you, and then if I don't want to, I can take care of you when I want to take care of you. You know, if sex wasn't like, if I don't want to have sex, we'd find ways. And I'm okay with him taking care of himself. Even before, earlier in our marriage, or right before we got married, I caught my boyfriend at the time, my current husband, watching porn. Not a big deal, but I made it such a big deal because I thought there was issues with me. I thought I had to be his one and only, right? So I had this big stigmatism because of the sexual wounds that I had, because I didn't have the safety to have the conversations, because I had so much trauma from the past. It was interrupting my current relationship. But I'm here to say that you can heal that. This is the work we do in Pleasure Queen. This is the work we do in the EA Leadership Mastery Program. So if you want to know more about that, completely shameless plug, because this work changes our lives. It's incredible. Like myself and my clients are living proof of that. So getting back to it. So examples like, so in service, like he knows that I love receiving in all the ways. I love it when he touches me. I love it when he does gifts of service. I love when he gives me gifts. Like I love all of the ways. I love the affirmations, right? I know that. I know for him, he loves getting his back scratched. He loves touch. He loves hugs. He loves saying, I love you. He loves it when I get ready on time, right? And, he loves like how I take care of him in bed, right? Those are the things that is acts of service that he likes. And those are the acts of service that I'm willing to give him, right? And then this comes to the last one, which is a sacred no, right? Because on one hand, it's great to give, but then there's another hand to say, we also need to have those sacred boundaries. So can you express, do you feel safe enough to express to be like, no, that doesn't feel good for me, or I don't want that, or I'm not agreeing to that. Being able to have that safety and being able to really trust yourself and know your body wisdom on what is no for you. So an example, because we're going there, is about, in the bedroom when, we do have anal sex sometimes. And sometimes when we do, there's a whole process, right? We really create a lot of safety within it. And there was one time where it was just like, 20 minutes, like to get everything ready and like get me ready to that place. And I said no. And there's a part of me that felt so bad because it was like, oh my gosh, it was such a beautiful, incredible experience. But all of a sudden my body was saying no and closing down for that part. So I honored it. I let him know. He was completely respectful and we ended up doing other things, right? So when we're able to have the safety to explore and honor our sacred no, all of these components are going to create satisfaction in our lives. So it's number one, the standards, right? What are your standards? What are your partner's standards? Can you create that baseline of your standards, the minimum to be satisfaction? And then through the roof is euphoria, right? Ecstasy. And can you create we just created this in the first workshop for a Pleasure Queen. If you want to join, you get access to the first workshop where you create this larger than life pleasure manifesto. And I share with you and walk you through the whole process of doing it, right? Like, what is that for you? Can you get into that? Can you tap into that? Right? Creating that vision and those desires. And then I show you how to create that in real life. The next thing is safety, right? Once you know your standards, having the safety to be able to share this with your partners, to be able to have the conversation, to be able to ask the questions and know what their standards are for a relationship, what their standards are for how sexual they want to be, what their standards are for when it comes to parenting, what their standards are for the things that they value and are important to them, and you having these conversations and feeling safe enough to have them is incredible. And also a big check for women that have been wounded in the past, the ones that are like me, ultra independent, A-type personality, not really like used to expressing or sharing emotions. This is where we get to start looking at, can we be soft? Can we open up? Is there guilt or shame there? Are there things that we that happen to us that creates hardness around us? I'm going to take a sip. Oh my gosh, this is so good. I need to tell my brother. And then it's about service. What are you willing to give? What do you want to receive? What are you willing to give to yourself to be able to create what it is that you desire, right? How are you able to serve, and understand desires? And then the final one is a sacred no. What is a sacred no for you? How do you tap into that? How do you know that it's a no? How do you express that in a safe way? And by it being able to have these keys, that all goes into the satisfaction quotient. And if you have a high satisfaction quotient in your marriage, in your relationship, then the odds are that all of these like little things, these little Raquels and the little, distractions will just kind of be like an annoying gnat and not something big there. Now, in this situation, I will again be completely transparent. In my relationship with my husband, I have no worries, no concerns. And I can't control him. So if he did something and if he stepped out on our marriage, if he had an affair, then I would be okay without him. I deeply love him and he's my soulmate, but I'm strong enough and confident enough. And I know myself well enough that I will always thrive. And I hope that it's in this relationship till the last breath I have in my body, but it's okay if it's not. I'll be okay if it's not. I will always thrive. So being able to have that confidence, to be able to have that level of standards, being able to, do our part to create that satisfaction for ourselves and our partners creates a cheat-proof relationship. It really does. And if they do cheat and step out, you're not going to have guilt or shame or wonder, oh my gosh, what if I did this? What if I did that? It's like, no, you did everything to create satisfaction for you and listen to your partner and have conversations and honest reflections around that. And when there is something going on, to be able to have, the safety to have those conversations, to notice, to have that awareness. And when you start rating your relationship with a satisfaction as the minimum, you're going to start noticing the blips. You're going to start noticing the small little things. So you'll never be like an Ariana caught in it to be like, I had no idea, unless there's other things going on. And he's there's like mental or other things going on. You won't be blindsided. So let me know if you have any questions. Let me know what resonates with you. Let me know, between the standards, safety, service, sacred, no, where do you fall? Where is that place that you're going to work on? Right. When we have that standards, and then, I forgot to say sex, obviously sex and sensuality, right? What is that quotient for you? How does that feel for you? How safe do you feel to be in your body and expose your body? How much do you love your body? How are you listening to it? Are you giving it what it needs? Are you fulfilling it? Are you feeling satisfied in your body? Right. And the more we're able to feel that connection, that acceptance, that love for it, we show up completely differently. Our partner sees us as these amazing goddess beings that just from us owning it and loving the parts that we judge and committing to our sensuality, committing to our sexuality, committing to our bodies, making it a priority and moving and giving it what it wants. When we have that level of satisfaction within us, they bring in, it changes the relationship completely. It does. It changes how we show up. It changes who we are. And as a result, our partner responds differently. And it's incredible. So that is my 2 cents on how to cheat-proof your relationship. It has worked so incredible for me and my husband. We have the most incredible, magical relationship. I wouldn't trade with anyone else on the planet. We have fun together. We're able to collaborate. We're able to have and share these vulnerable experiences and moments and thoughts, as well as celebrate incredible things together. And it's just so incredible. This is my wish, that I wish for all of you to have this type of relationship that is just as wild and fun in the bedroom as it is out of the bedroom. And this is the work that we do in Pleasure Queen. So if you want to know more about Pleasure Queen, there's 4 workshops. One, you'll get instant access to. It is really powerful. We do a deep dive exploring these things, exploring what is your bigger than life pleasure manifesto. One of the clients in the group was like, this was incredible. She's already feeling a shift. And we just had the workshop yesterday. We get into the shadow work around shame and guilt and conditioning and trauma and all of those things in the second workshop, which is going to be really powerful to be able to hold, process, heal, move that energy so you can be in your power and really release those pleasure blockers so you can like open up and explode into your sensuality and pleasure. And then we go into really tapping into your sexuality and your sensuality. In the third call, which is a lot of embodiment, is all about like getting into your adventure and what does that feel for you, and really exploring your boundaries and flirting with the edges of what you're comfortable with. And then the last workshop, we are getting into duality. How can you hold things being so amazing and good when there's things that aren't? When there's people that are suffering that, or you have another place in your life that isn't going as well. How do you hold the duality of both? And then there'll be a Q&A where I'll answer all of your questions that you have from the workshop content. It's incredible. It's $2,222, but it's $888. That pricing ends tonight. So if you want that or payment plans, or you want to know more details about it, let me know. And if you're interested in a leadership mastery and program and embodiment journey to have tools to be able to help you the moment that you're triggered, the moment you experience stress, the moment you experience anxiety, the moment that you want an injection and you want to get into the vortex of your desires, if you want to get motivated again, if you want to uncover your pattern and switch it, if you're ready to make a decision, there's 8 different emotional mastery tools in the EA program and a 3-month experience for you to embody them. So you'll be able to use them in your life forever. The women in the program are incredible. The shares that we have are so powerful, and this is where you do your work. When you join EA, you get Pleasure Queen as a bonus. So if you want to know more about that, you can absolutely send me a DM. And I would love to know, in your relationship, what area in your life are you working on? What area in your life do you feel like if you could expand in all the assets, standards, safety, service, sacred no, and sexuality, which area, if you focus on, you get the biggest bang for your buck, pun intended, in your relationship. I will see you next week. If you have any topics that you want to share with me, if you have questions that you want to ask, go ahead and put them below or send it to me in my DMs. I hope that this was powerful. And really, if you do these things, like these are the things that are the non-negotiables in my marriage, I've created a marriage beyond my wildest dreams. And if it's possible for someone like me, you can do it too. I will see you guys next week.